Buckle down, ladies and gents. It's about to get painful. With Russian sanctions abound and the decision to suspend all Russian energy import, which was the right decision, we get to look forward to taking out small loans to fill our gas tanks in the foreseeable future. But are these gas prices all President Biden's fault? And what can he do to ease that pain, if anything? Before Putin went and did Putin things, I made a video about climate change with a caveat on maintaining energy independence. Well, that dependence on energy import is about to be felt even more, and not in a good way. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, and let's not blame this whole gas price increase on President Biden just yet. But the gist of it is, we're coming out of a pandemic when no one traveled. The entire world's energy producers, including domestic, took a major financial blow, with many filing bankruptcy. It's no surprise they are currently hesitant to provide more output. Couple that with drastic increase in demand, with people going back to work and school, and well, it was almost guaranteed that gas prices at the pump were going to increase regardless of the actions of that dipshit Putin. The sad truth is, we have the ability to become completely energy independent and can even be a consistent competitor on the global market for energy export. That's even with President Biden's executive orders suspending new oil leases on federal land and waters. Right now, there are over 9,000 oil leases in America, mostly on private property, that are not being utilized. Even if companies decided to tap into those reserves, it would take months, most likely even years, until we'd see the impact. Other negative contributions are the worker and equipment shortages. In some cases, where the will is there to produce more, the logistics are not. So it's not as easy as just turning on the spigot. And finally, President Biden himself had an impact on increased gas prices, just by being who he is. This isn't necessarily directed at the partisanship of the nation, but his militant dedication in transitioning to green fuels and his lukewarm support of fossil fuel manufacturers. This alone exacerbates the hesitation of production by the already reluctant oil producers. We can't ignore his suspension of the Keystone XL pipeline either. Though it wasn't completed, that resonates negatively throughout the oil industry. So, is there anything the president can do? The easiest would be to suspend the federal gas tax. Right now, that is 18 cents a gallon. That would be an immediate impact and save people about $2 to $3 every time they fill up. And this is where President Biden would have to swallow his pride a bit. The revenue from the gas tax is what is expected to be a major funding element of his infrastructure plan. State governments could also temporarily suspend their state gas tax, which range anywhere from 9 cents to 57 cents a gallon. But that's less likely since most states are heavily reliant on that tax, but even a temporary reduction in tax would be significant. The next option President Biden could do is to ease gasoline regulations. If you were unaware, there are two blends of gas, winter and summer. Basically, it's regular and Diet Coke. Summer fuel is required to have a lower volatility. The hotter days increase gasoline's likelihood to evaporate faster, adding to pollution and increased emissions. So, required additives in summer blends slow that evaporation and jack up the cost. Because of the drop in demand during the winter and colder days, these additives aren't required, making winter blends cheaper to produce. If we switched over to allow winter blends, this would save us up to about 15 cents a gallon. Another behind-the-scenes reason for the increased gas prices are the requirements under the Jones Act. It is a set of laws which restrict the transportation of merchandise and passengers between points of the United States. This restriction on transport drives the price of crude oil from domestic areas like Alaska and Texas to other domestic refineries all over the rest of the country. This act over the long term is argued to protect about 650,000 maritime jobs and realize roughly $150 billion in economic benefits, but it does restrict competition and it drives up prices. A temporary ban would not affect the intended dependency on domestic maritime commerce, but it would dramatically decrease gas prices, estimated in some cases as high as 46 cents a gallon. The next approach is to open up other points of import with new deals. Though I'm personally not a fan of this, as it doesn't address energy independence at all and still relies on other countries for energy requirements, it would almost certainly stifle ballooning gas prices. Canada is the obvious choice for energy import, but negotiations are opening up with Venezuela as well. The last option I want to talk about is President Biden scaling back his dedication to the reduction of new leases on public land, or even hinting at recommitting to the Keystone XL pipeline. These would be wholly symbolic, though. The pipeline is not complete, and it would take years for development on new leases. And honestly, President Biden could play politician and only do the bare minimum in creating an exploratory committee of the economic and environmental impact of the pipeline and then do nothing. But the nearsighted effect would be tremendous. It would bolster confidence in the domestic oil industry, which could cause them to release more oil. The domino effect would be that Brent crude prices could stabilize, and OPEC would be more inclined to supplement Europe's energy crisis. If an aggressive but highly unlikely approach incorporating all of these options were taken, it would reduce gas price by an average of about 88 cents per gallon almost immediately, with prices decreasing as more domestic oil becomes available. These are not all-inclusive in reducing gas prices, nor are they nearly as easy as I make it out to be. There's so much nuance and legalities that would have to be overcome to help relieve gas price, but it's not impossible. And it's no surprise that relinquishing government oversight and requirements are the fastest way to reduce cost. And none of these needs to be incorporated long term, much to my chagrin, but temporarily to relieve the economic pressures we are all feeling. But despite all of this, we should continue to do everything we can in support of Ukraine, her people, and democracy.